Morning, Dan.
Good morning, Dave. Recording's going. I was doing a quick scalp, so I was a half a minute late.
Yeah, I haven't reminded you about your recordings lately. I'm glad you remember.
Knock on wood, I don't think I forgot since that one time, so we're all right.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I can share this guy out. It's going to be a busy screen today, but we'll move stuff around, so don't worry, guys.
All right.
How's everybody doing this fine Tuesday?
So you had a nice weekend. Wow.
Oh, that was fantastic.
The weather was good?
Yeah, rained once the second night, but not too bad.
Awesome.
You know, it's amazing just going up middle of nowhere. You know, we're out in the middle of the Boundary Waters, or not in the middle of Boundary Waters, but close to it. You know, no light pollution. It was just a clear night the first night, so the kids actually got to see the Milky Way, which you can't see anymore, so it's fantastic.
Wow, yeah. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Anirg. Alex, good morning. Ashan, good morning. Keith, good morning. Wow, they're rolling in. Andre, good morning.
Happy July, everyone.
Yeah. Can you believe how fast this year has gone? It just seems like incredible to me.
Yeah, it's already half gone. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's the old saying, though, right? The older you get, the faster the years go.
Yeah, I guess that's...
I don't know if it's an old saying, but it's definitely something I have experienced.
Yeah, I think it's true. I mean, I know when the kids were young and they were on vacations and stuff like that, the summer seemed to drag on forever for them. And I said, what are you talking about? It went so fast.
Right? That's what was really great about this weekend camp. And we were there Saturday. Or I think it was even Friday night where I'm like, it feels like Saturday already. It's like it's going to be like a bonus day this weekend. So I think it was because we took off early Friday and drove up first thing. So it's like we had all of Friday, all of Saturday. So it made it feel like a longer weekend without working Friday for some people.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
I think time slows down once you get outside the urban areas. You know?
It's so nice to get away from people.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
All right, looks like the door started slowing down, so this might be the crew for now. Andre, Keith, Shaman, Alex, yeah. Good morning, gentlemen. Anybody take the trade this morning? I know been watching the room. Shaman, I don't think you took this one, but anybody in a short this morning?
Yeah, I think Isham said he didn't take it because it was he didn't want to chase it.
Right.
It did go up a little bit at the open, but then maybe not as much as you thought, Isham.
Yeah, I think it sounded like he was looking for more of a bounce. Yep.
Yeah, I mean the probabilities were pretty good that we're going to decline today. The spreadsheet, the H4, M1, everything pretty lined up. That's why I put a 75% probability on it.
This guy was lining up pretty nicely too, I saw. Our 2.0 script.
Nice.
If I expand this back out so you can see it. Sean was asking too in an email or in the room, I forget where it was, that if we're looking at potentially doing a video and adding it to the Ball Arb Masterclass for the 2.0 script. So we will definitely try and see if we can get that set up, Sean. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, well, Dan's, you're still testing them, so as soon as Dan's done testing them, we'll get something up there.
Yeah, as soon as we can, be confident in how we're reading and using these, absolutely we will add it to it, but we don't want to jump the gun on anything because we don't want to give you guys any false information or anything that's too new that hasn't been proven enough, so we don't want you to be the guinea pigs. But yeah, just watching this one, I was noticing, leading before it was all a nice downtrend, kind of leveled off here, but then it continued right through the open.
Yep.
That's a nice little additional indicator.
Yeah, that's the, excuse me. What's interesting about that is it's that red line is the thread that moves through the negative side of the binary trend columns in the spreadsheet. And so, I mean, on a shorter time frame though, because that's a daily, you get that on a 15-minute.
Right, right. Let's see how the 4 hours looking if I pull that up too.
So it's in real time. So the move on the oscillator right now, let's see, I just gotta, every time I reduce this window, okay.
The red line is the binary trend cutting through the spreadsheet. Let me pull it up at the same time.
Yes.
You can probably say it better than I can, but Andre was just asking to repeat what that was about the red line you were saying.
Yeah, so if you notice the binary trend has zeros in it, those are the negative trends in the binary trend. And it's that the red line is representing that negative if it's below zero. And it would turn green when it's above zero, which indicates that it's the ones in the binary trend running through there.
So here we're all zeros and moving down.
Right.
The 4 hour bars previous are pointing down. So that's a pretty strong indicator, and that followed right through.
Right.
It helps us more on the swing type trades. So if you could see this, you could even enter it before the open, ignoring stuff, and you could ride right through, and there's your trade, and you're at a 0.12 right now, and not have to worry about this. You know, it's all slightly going down, but it's choppy going down.
Right, right. So the new scripts, the ARB crossover is basically for swing trading. So it's not the in and out kind of trading that we're doing right at the open with the contracts. This is more swing trading, and you can see that it's been negative pretty much going back for quite a while there. See the dates on there, but yeah, it turned negative and it kind of stayed negative. So we're still in a negative trend. So those counter trend rallies that you saw there as it was kind of going up failed because the thread remained negative. You know?
Yeah, it came right up there and hit, then reversed.
Yeah, just stayed negative. Never went positive. And that's a good entry point for a swing trade when it turned down there.
So New Rug's asking about the 4 hour slope. He says, thought the 4 hour slope was down slope and an up bias conflicting with the spreadsheet.
The H4 slope you think it was down. Okay, so let's take a look at the H4 because it was kind of a tricky one if you take a look at the last 3-4 hour.
So I moved it over so we can see the open. So here's what we're looking at before the open when this bar completes.
Yeah, it was. Is that the 4 hour? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you take a look at, let's see, my 1 o'clock is what? Your noon, midnight?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, so if you look at that one and the next bar, which is your 4 a.m., it's down. So that's why it was an up bias on the H4.
So that's the same thing that you were confirming in New Rug. Down slope, up bias on the 4 hour. And yes, right. It was conflicting with the spreadsheet. So you are correct.
Yeah.
But the overall spreadsheet is still a down bias.
Yeah, spreadsheet, binary trend, and the rate of change were all negative today.
Yep, all negative here. Fifth column moved negative, UD percentage moved negative. You know, we don't pay a huge attention, but we can see that it is negative. It's not indicating a peak. We're not in the teens. We're not at 2%. but it has gone negative. Everything's moving negative here.
Yeah.
4, 2 to -4, positive to a negative number, full binary trends negative. Everything is in agreement of being negative here. So then, yeah, this was down up. That doesn't override everybody being negative.
Right.
That's why everything is pushed through. That's why you see this.
So we had more negative than positive. I mean, if you add them all up, you're going to look at the big picture. The overall picture is that the only thing that was slightly positive was the H4. Everything else was negative.
Yeah, I took this one personally. I was in. Did I take it before or after the open? Where's my times? I forget. Let me look. No, no.
I was short all of the micro E-minis into the open this morning.
Nice.
Yeah, it did well.
I forget the exact time, but I had it for about 6 minutes. That was 2 minutes in, or before, I think. So I took this little move and I got out right around here. It did waffle quite a bit, so I was like, yeah, play games. And then it went the way I expected. So still got profits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if we let's take a look at the spreadsheet again. I think we have, it looked like the positive trend there that started really kind of just fizzled out. It looks like we're going negative again. And that's kind of been the pattern lately. You know, in the past, we had like multiple peaks in the bell curve on the positive side on the last run. And now I think we're going to go get another negative peak here on the bell curve. That positive trend just kind of fizzled right out.
Yeah, it's looking like a failed positive attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Mark's asking, are we just using the 5 a.m. and the 9 a.m. 4-hour bars to confirm up or down?
The 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. typically. If we don't see much in that, we'll go back one more bar.
So yeah, we're looking at the overnight session, Mark. It's not the 9 a.m. It's not the open bar. Whatever that one's doing in that first half hour before the actual open, we don't take that into account.
Right.
We're looking at these guys. And it does depend on what they are sometimes. And that's where our potential continuations come from. But for the most part, yeah, we are finding that. Does that make sense, Mark?
Yeah, 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. are the most critical. We probably put 80% of the weight of calling the H4 on those two bars. And if those are really, really tiny bars, then we'll go back maybe another bar before that. But typically, what we'd like to see, the ideal setup is small bars in that overnight session that we can say, okay, well, they're tiny bars leading to like that one. Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, it's like those small little bars kind of in a slightly negative gives us a pop at the open higher. That's an uptrend for sure. And then when we have slightly positive overnight bars, we have a much easier, it's a much higher probability trade to take the downside of that.
Jeez.
And then go down like that one, that big bar right there is slightly positive in the overnight session. So we'll take a look at all of those and say, yeah, it's slightly positive. That gives us a down bias. So typically both the H4 and the M1, whatever they trend at just prior to the open, they do the opposite. For whatever reason, we talked about this before. I think it's the Asian market influence. They tend to be wrong on the spread almost every single time.
Yeah, I was covering that actually just yesterday with the new July private client. So why does it do that? I said, well, I can't tell you exactly why.
Yeah.
It's just something that we have realized and a pattern we've identified.
Exactly.
right. How are we looking now? Look at that.
He says, are you combining the percent reading on 2 to 4 hours? No, not really. I'm looking at the slope mostly.
The only time we might do that, Keith, is if they're like a potential continuation.
Right, like yesterday.
Yeah. Only if it's a big move like that will we look at doing multiples and add them up. Usually, like this, yesterday was rare. Like a huge gap down, then a massive move. You know, it was almost 1% at the open.
Right.
Let me know if anybody in here took that trade yesterday. How it wasn't touching the ARB trade yesterday. Not with that big of a spread already.
That was.
I took other trades, just not the ARB trade.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yesterday was a great day to short the market because it opened up very, very high and then continued to move lower.
Yep.
Yeah, and the spread, I mean, right at the open, the YMNQ was already down 0.8%, almost a full percentage. So even remember the average percentage change in the vol arb trade is 0.5%, and if it's beyond that, there's probably not much into that trade, at least at the open. In the average, if it's 0.5%, you're already down 0.8%. It can go up 3.3% at the open and still close down for the day.
Right.
You know, so.
Yep. Yesterday was a fine day to be short across the board.
Yes.
Took short in less than a minute for 200. There you go, Mike.
Nice, Mike.
Well
Good
done.
job.
Pause this for a second. I think we had. So the slope is more important than the percentage reading. Yes, the slope is very important.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And then we only do the percentage reading when it looks like there's a continuation. So on the last bar or the last two bars, if they add up to more than 0.2825 to 28, over 0.25, then it's a continuation pattern.
I thought I had some notes, but I don't have that open anymore, so we'll come back. I was trying to think if there's any questions. I received an email, but I don't believe so, that are fresh that we haven't answered.
Yeah, I think we're caught up on those pretty good. So yeah, today the market is interesting. I mean, all the major indexes are down. Not a big decline yet. Nothing really major, but everything is down.
A little bit of potential activity of trying to start on the Q side. We see some offsetting orders here and there I've noticed this morning. See if that gets any gumption.
So how do you like Tradeovite?
I haven't fired it up this week yet. There's so many things. It's like I got to keep up.
Yeah, I know. It's tough. It is tough.
That's the way it is even with the 2.0. It's like, all right, I'm so used to my habits and watching this and taking trade and doing it and getting done. It's like, oh, I forgot to look at this one. Verify. Oh, Keith says he's still confused about the slope and the reading.
Well, what you can do is you can take just take a line from the close of the previous bar to the current bar to the close of the next bar. So just draw a line.
So think about, so if we're looking at these two.
Yeah, that's the close would be at the top because it's a green bar.
That opened there and this closed here, so we'd be a downslope.
Well, I would take the close to close, but that's okay. You can do that if you want.
Oh, you talking here?
Yeah. So it's a downslope, yeah. It's still a down slope, but that I take close to close.
So similar to how we draw the 1 minute, Keith, is from one point in time to the next point in time, see where it is.
Oh, Sean got his account activated in Tradeovite. Nice little platform it is. And the nice thing I like about that platform is that you can do it on a PC, you can do it on a Mac, you can do it on an iPad, you can do it on your phone. That's kind of why I gravitated towards it, because it's multi-platform.
That's why I started playing with it too, because just for summertime and not being in my office and still having access to the exact same deal.
Yeah. And the microwave minis, I mean, $250 deposit, that's all you need on it to start trading.
Sham's doing feature requests. Good job, Sham.
Nice.
Pair trading.
They do have special margin rates for overnight pair trades, the spreads. So if you're doing the YMNQ, instead of the whatever $1,100 it is for margin, they do half of that. So it's like $550. Nice.
There you go. It looks like they got some stuff in their knowledge base.
Sean being proactive here. Nice.
Andre, I don't have an exact date yet. Most likely it was probably going to be this week, but I just want to make sure there isn't anything that's going to lead people astray by releasing this to clients.
And I have a small upgrade to the ARB volume. So I'll get that over to you today.
Okay.
Something I worked on over the weekend in my spare time.
When I was underground, you worked on the script, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really far underground. I saw that picture you sent to Tom. It was like 2,340 feet.
Yeah, you're a half a mile underground. It's the deepest iron ore mine in the state.
Is gravity different down there? It's like really far.
It is not any different, but it's the temperature never changes. It's 51 degrees all year round.
Wow.
So it can be 20 below outside and it's 50 degrees or 51 degrees of air coming out that shaft. Doesn't matter what it is outside. So that's pretty amazing. So it's cold for us right now to go down, so people put on sweatshirts. In this wintertime, they do actually do tours in the middle of the winter if you want to. You have to, you have to be putting on shorts because it would feel warm to you.
Yeah. They should build housing down there.
They did some amazing. So check this out. So my few-minute tangent here, unless people have some crazy questions. But we assumed it was just a mine. We're going to go tour a mine, right? Well, turns out somewhere in the 90s, I want to say, I wasn't have to look back at my details, but I took a ton of pictures. There was a bunch of scientists that were trying to work on protons and this and that, and he thought he was going to have to travel to CERN over in Europe and leave his family. Well, it turns out his daughter sees this bridgehead that holds up the elevator, says, "What's that?" So they went and toured it, checked out the mine. They started talking to people. They're like, "Hey," the wife's like, "Couldn't you do this down here? That's what you're doing over there." He's like, "You know what? I'm a smart guy. I'm going to figure it out." And he went and got grants from like the University of Minnesota here, grants from the government, and they built an entire science lab from offshoots of these mines and these drifts that they call them, that were a half a mile underground, so they didn't have to travel. So he stayed here in Minnesota, and they built all that underground. It's amazing what they did.
Wow.
And then they did like dark matter research down there. I had no idea. I mean, I had heard about it in the past, and I knew it happened, but I didn't know it was going to be the mine that I was going to. It was the exact same one.
Wow, that's crazy.
There's still the room where they actually got the temperature to like 15 or 10 degrees above 0 Kelvin, which I'm probably geeking people out on science. My son just freaks out about this because he's a huge science guy. He's like, "This is ridiculous." He's like, that's like impossible because you can't get to 0 Kelvin. It's theoretically impossible. and they did it like 10 degrees above, which is like 400 degrees negative Fahrenheit. For those that do the math, somewhere around there. I'm not as good as my son is, but we're like, yeah, that happened right there. And they're shooting neutrinos from Chicago through the ground, and we're receiving them in Minnesota. It's just amazing, the story.
It sounds incredible. It's like the U.S. CERN or something.
Yeah, we were just in awe, and there's like multiple of these. So you see the maps, and it's like, dude, we got to go visit the other ones now.
Wow.
It's just amazing.
And Nurk says he has a CERN lab about a mile away from his house in New Delhi.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, cool. Do they give tours?
Yeah, that's the trick. Is right now they took all the research that they did here, and they have another one going in Canada, which is fun because they actually got it like 5 degrees colder. The problem is you can't hold it and you can't keep things that cold. So they built the next version of it over there. I mean, you have to have lead-filled things because radiation, it's all about the radiation is the reason that they do it and where they do it.
Right.
And they started with lead. Then they actually went to get special lead that's in the Mediterranean Sea. And they flew it overnight so it wouldn't be exposed to the sun. It's just amazing, all the stories about this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's all kinds of labs all over the globe. I had no idea, Anurag. Anybody that's curious, look into it. There's like probably 24 of them, of these labs underground doing this research.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Jeez.
So there's Dan's tangent for the day. Sorry if I lost anyone. I didn't see anybody drop, so that's a good sign. Maybe they fell asleep.
That's a pretty good story. I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, there's so many things going on, especially in science, that most people are not aware of.
Yeah, you get so tunnel vision of doing what you're doing, whether it's trading or anything. It's really nice to just disconnect and check out the world and be in nature and unwind. It was a fantastic weekend for me. This is the first of many for this summer, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Good, good.
Well, there's a little something. Someone's getting excited in the market.
Yeah, it's really moving. Wow. Yeah, all the indexes have turned positive except for the Russell 2000. Let's see. Dave, Dan, if possible, it would be a great idea if you could show a model paper trading portfolio using all the strategies being taught, using paper money of say 250,000 for a period of 3 months or a continuing time frame. I'm not sure how we would do that.
So like start with a new account and just paper trade it and leave that, like if I reset a paper account in Thinkorswim?
Can you set up a new one?
Well, I know you can reset, but trying to remember where that. What? Let me look into that, Anurag. I'll kick the tires on that. See what I can do. Maybe you'll be our tester, and we'll have you reset, and you'll follow our things and see what happens in a paper account.
Yeah, user tested. Yes.
You know, it's one thing if Dave or I do it. It's another thing if a student does it.
That's right. And you'll learn a lot too, I bet, if you do that.
Right. No, we mean if you do it.
Yeah, if you do it. I think, in fact, my son was asking me about trading the other day, and he said he was going to buy a couple of books or something. And I said, yeah, you can. I mean, there's a couple of really good books that you really need to have. And number one is, I don't think anybody should ever trade anything without reading Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. I don't know if you've read that book.
I have not read that one.
Need to read it. It is probably the most classic. It's probably the first thing that I ever read, and it is still one of the very best books on trading ever in the history of mankind. And I will put the link into the chat.
Nice.
It was by someone who traded futures contracts in corn, wheat back in the early 1900s, 1910, 1905. If you guys haven't read it, it is required reading, I think, for every futures trader. Not in the sense that it will give you some great ideas on how to create systems or how to trade the futures market, but the psychology behind it. He was just he made millions in the futures market and then lost millions and then made millions again and then lost millions again. He was probably one of the most prolific traders ever. His name, the book was written by, I think it was
Edwin Lefevre.
Favor, yeah, but that's not his real name. His real name was Jesse Livermore. That is like a pen name, and his real name was Jesse Livermore. So if you look up Jesse Livermore, you kind of get an idea who he was. But he started as a young kid in what they call bucket shops. Bucket shops in the 1900s, early 1900s, when the market was really just starting to get started, was they were basically, there was the market and Wall Street. I mean, they basically just traded on the street. And then the bucket shops were like these brokerage houses, but they never actually traded stocks. All they did was record the prices of the stocks on a big chalkboard. And so they had these runners. So the runners would go down to Wall Street. They would find out what the price of the stock was, and then they'd run back to the bucket shop and write down the price, and then they'd run back to the stock market. Those guys must have gotten in really good shape, but those they had quite a few of them. They had all young kids doing this. And so he did that, and he was the guy who was writing down the prices, and he noticed patterns in the prices as he was writing them down. And he saved enough money from that job to be able to start trading. And within 3-4 years, he had made a couple $1 million.
Oof.
And then he lost it all, every penny. And then he figured out what he was doing wrong, and he made millions back again. And so his story of how he did this is all in that book. Really fascinating, absolutely fascinating reading. I don't think there's anybody else that's written anything quite like it.
And it's inexpensive too. I'm looking, you can get the paperback for less than $10.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely go for the paperback.
Or if you're a Kindle reader, 99 cents.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried reading on those e-readers and books and Kindles. There's something about just holding a book. I'm old school.
I like the paper. I like holding paper. And then the other book I told my son to read is Timing the Trade, the one I mentioned last week. So those two books alone. And then I also said, you can get the one by Mark Douglas there. What's the name of that?
Oh, Trading in the Zone?
Trading in the Zone.
Yep.
That's a good book for psychology.
Asham, you missed your calling. You should be a comedian. Go into stand-up.
Oh, so I don't know if I don't want to be the spoiler, but I don't know if I want to be the spoiler. But anyway, so what he did was, as the story goes on, he makes millions, he loses millions, he makes millions, he loses money.
Well, you can't spoil it for people. Don't spoil it.
The third or fourth time he made millions, he was married by that time and had a child. And he gave his wife $100,000. He said, just put it away. Don't let me touch it. Just keep it and just don't give it to me. Even if I beg you, don't give it to me. So he was trying to, because he kept making money and losing money, and he felt like he hadn't really made any progress. So he said, well, just $100,000 back then is like $10 million today. It's with inflation, it's this huge amount of money, right? And so his wife said, okay. Yeah. And then he went on and he continued to make money like crazy. Timing the Trade is by Tom O'Brien. I'll type his name in the box. And that is also a relatively inexpensive book. IEN. But I won't give away. It doesn't say in the book, obviously, because he wrote it. But he ended up committing suicide, which is very, 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 very. I was kind of saddened to hear that because I mean he was a brilliant trader, but what he did was, I think one of the failings that he had was he was always trying to make really big money, and so when he had a lot of money and he made $1 million from trading, he'd bet it all on something that was basically just a long shot. And so he ended up losing it all.
Wow.
And so I guess if the book doesn't do anything else, it's it will teach you that it's probably better to make money on a regular basis with a proven system, like, well, just like relatively arbitrage, rather than trying to make $1 million at one time and then, you know,
right. Then to get lucky,
you know, then kind of, you know, yeah. So he had a gambling side to him that did not serve him well, but he was a brilliant mind on trading. I mean, if you can pick out the stuff that he did just on the times that he won and he was actually right, that's what you really need to focus on. Timing the trade is great because it uses it teaches you how to use both price and volume to determine support resistance areas, breakouts, things like that. Volume, the way volume is today isn't quite as effective, and that's why I came up with the arbitrage volume script, because it's basically a substitute for the actual volume. And of course, you can't use volume with the pairs. It would really mess things up. So it's kind of synthetic volume. And like I mentioned earlier, I did an upgrade of that script, which improves it dramatically, which I'll send to you. But using price and volume used to be a fantastic way to make money in the markets back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, until high frequency trading came into play, and basically a lot of garbage trading in the markets. And now it's really difficult to tell how volume and price interact and use that to predict future price movements. So what I've been working on for the past year is this synthetic volume substitute that will give you the same kind of predictability when compared to price and volume. So it's not volume, but it's synthetic volume. That's what I call it. There's something else I was just going to mention. I forgot. I forgot now. I'll remember in a few minutes.
ST's just now busting through to the positive. It's the first time all day.
Look at the volatility on the NQ, on the SDs.
Yeah.
Going crazy there. And the NYSE, the SD just shot right up there very, very quickly. Looks like some big orders are coming through. And almost all of the indexes are positive, except that, and the Russell 2000 is still down.
Andre, you got a trick on a script there? Asking about the synthetic volume. Is that the one you're working with Dave on? Oh, Dave's taking more money.
Just a little paper trade here. No, I took a short position on the MES and see how that plays out.
Andre's got a question for you there on your synthetic volume script you were talking about.
Let me see. do you have the synthetic volume script ready yet? I have it ready, yes. Yeah.
Are you referring to this one, or are we referring to a different one?
No, it's a different one. It's slightly different than that one. Slightly different.
We'll save that for a different day.
Yeah, that was kind of like the one I sent you was probably the one that is beta, or it's even alpha, I think. But I've got a beta version. No, this is a strong market script, so I can't send it to you. But I'm gonna give it to Dan to test out for the vol arb. So I'm gonna do a second version just for the vol arb trades. So it's optimized for the YMNQ, ESRTY, those trades. But the one that I just created, the synthetic volume script, is going to be at strong market. I think they're going to put it together, and that should be available probably next week sometime. But for the vol arb, this is going to be like an upgraded version of the arb volume script that I just sent. Dan is testing out now. And it's specifically optimized for the volatility arbitrage. So that will be available with the vol arb scripts that Dan's testing out now.
Sham, I have not traded anything other than YMNQ for vol arb recently, so I can't talk to what it does at the open for the YMRTY. You can definitely just look at the chart, I assume, obviously. So 1 or a 5. And you can see what it's doing around the opens. But it's one of those, how many things can I get done in the day? But yeah, I have not traded that one recently.
No, I haven't either. I stick with the RM, the YM NQ most of the time.
The only time I trade the RUD is when I'm short everything or long everything, and I'm just doing either micros or minis. And I'll take the whole market versus just 1 or 2 of them. Because like Dave likes to say, you never know who's going to be the major winner, so we'll take a piece of all of it.
My little short on the MES is working out.
And Sean, not necessarily a total market spread. It's where I'm long or short, all of them the same direction. So like Dave was saying, like yesterday, I was short all 4 indexes at one time. It wasn't a arbitrage. It wasn't total market spread. I was short YM, NQ, RUT, and ES. All 4 at the exact same time.
Yeah, I mean, most of the indexes are going to move down together and they move up together. It's pretty rare when they diverge, but you never know which one is going to outperform the other. So, we can say, hey, if you use the spreadsheet, you can say, okay, well, it looks like YM is dominant at this point, or NQ is dominant, then that may outperform the YM when we're in a down market. So you might want to short the NQ instead of the YM. But when you're looking at the overall market, if you know the market is going to decline, like I did last night, I took a short position on all of the micro E-minis, MYM, MNQ, MES, M2K. And it actually turned out, I think the M2K outperformed all of them. And so I got a little piece of each one of of all of the entire market, basically.
You got it based on intraday scripts or based on, market timer outlooks with the spreadsheets, all that goes together. You got it.
Yep.
Nice little downturn. All right. And I do have a client at the top of the hour, so we will have to end on time today.
Any final questions, guys? We'll wrap it up for today. Ooh, I'm liking my short position here.
I was just going to say, that's a nice downturn. I updated the spreadsheets yesterday, Andre, since I was away on camping trip. I didn't get to it on Friday since I was way up north, but they are updated through July 1st. So it's on the same site. The downloads page in HLM1 section. It should be the top one when you pull up that section, and then just bookmark that link. Perfect. You're welcome.
Sham, he's in. Sham, are you in South Africa? Do I remember that correctly?
I believe you're correct. Yep.
Okay. And so when you signed up with Tradevite, did they, which broker did you go with? Did you go with Phillips or Dorman? Okay. Just be aware that Dorman, you can do wire transfers to fund your account, but they do not have ACH, or they do not have wire transfers for receiving funds. If you want to do a request to withdraw funds, they will send you a paper check. Yeah, I know. It's like, wow, that's real old school. So just keep that in mind. Yeah. I in my own due diligence process with a new broker, I did that as well. I funded the account with a wire, and then I made a small withdrawal, and they said, well, you can only do paper checks. You can't do an ACH or a wire transfer of your accounts. And I made the request on June 21st. And I have not received the check yet, just to let you know. And if you're in Cape Town, it may take quite a while. I'm not sure how they would actually send it to you. You might want to contact their support just to make sure that they will actually send you a check to Cape Town, how you withdraw funds. It's like the ClickBank days. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think ever, somebody likes Dorman a lot, and I like Dorman too. I mean, their executions are incredible. I've been really, really happy with the trading I've done on their platform. Executions are great, but if I ever want to make a withdrawal, I'm going to be sitting there waiting for a check. Yeah, there's Phillips Capital uses the ACH. So yeah. Money, yes, absolutely. That's right, Mike. Yeah, Dorman needs to get into the 21st century, I think.
Maybe they'll just go straight to XRP.
Yes. Dorman, pay me in XRP, I'll take it. Dorman, looks like they cater mostly to professional traders and institutional traders. So, I don't know. Any final questions, guys?
I was going to say it's slowing down, it looks like.
Wrap it up.
We will not have a session this Thursday, obviously. U.S. holiday, markets are closed, so everybody enjoy the 4th of July that's celebrated in the U.S. and don't blow your fingers up.
Yes. We've never been able to buy fireworks in New York State until about a couple of years ago. And now I see little tents selling fireworks like all over the place.
Yep. They're technically illegal here, but people still get them.
Yeah.
Anything that flies in the air. It's kind of sad the way they write the rules, but.
Yeah, that's the way New York was. So everybody drove to Pennsylvania. They were legal in Pennsylvania.
Yep, same thing here. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, South Dakota, they're all legal everywhere else.
Yep.
So we'll catch you guys next week we'll be back, and anything cool happens, watch your emails. But enjoy your vacation for those that get it.
Oh yeah, one final announcement and this is my fault totally, but I started doing some chatting in the TSA Alerts chat room. That is only for TSA Alerts. There is a PC chat room, so if you go over to the PC chat room, I'd be happy to answer your questions over there. But we're going to keep the TSA Alerts chat just for the TSA Alert announcements. So we can keep that kind of a clean area over there for historic purposes. Yeah, if you guys are around and you want to go into the PC chat room, Dan and I'll probably kind of hang out there once in a while, and we'll answer your questions. I had a couple of announcements of some shorts, like a short yesterday that I did on the general market, not the vol arb trade, but just a short trade yesterday. From time to time, if I see something interesting, I'll post it in there.
And for those that are maybe listening after the fact, or anybody here that doesn't know what we're talking about, the PC chat room is for private clients that we set up. So anybody that is a private client has access to that. And the TSA room is for TSA subscribers. So that's the trade setup alerts that we put out every day for the vol arb strategy. So they're both for people that subscribe to those services, and they are both available currently.
Yeah.
So if anybody needs to know, hit up support or hit up me directly, and we can talk about it if you don't have access to it yet, or if you want to look at being a private client. I did have a few people were emailed. I do have one last spot, and I got one guy begging me to hold it for August. So let me know if you guys are looking to be clients. It is getting very very popular again, so I can squeeze people in where I need to. So let me know if you're looking.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We'll catch you guys on the other side. July 4th is actually one of my favorite holidays. I love it. So have a great one, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
Yep, you too.